Hey all, Hipper here. So today I thought we should take a look back into the history of Legends, because this game has actually, believe it or not, been going on for more than 4 years now. And in this video here I thought I would have a look at the extreme beginning in 2019 up until the end of 2020. So this is, like 2-3 years ago, and some people are still with us, myself included, and most of the CCs, and a good bunch of other players. But not many people really remember these early days of the game, and a lot has changed. I know we complain quite a lot about this game, but if you look back, you will figure out that actually most of the little niggles have been fixed over the last 4 years, and what we have now is pretty much, a full price game, more or less. So I will start after the alpha and beta access, and where the game was available in early access for everyone. And back then you could buy founders editions that had special premium ships, and I bought that, and I kind of sold them also. And I don't even remember which I bought, but you could buy them back then, and most players who bought them, myself excluded in this case here, still have those ships. The Firepower edition was a physical version of the game you could buy as well, and we had the first campaigns, including the Atlanta and the Tirpitz, and they were difficult, nothing like the campaigns are these days. We also got the German battleships, at least like the beginning of the line, and Scharnhorst was available as a premium, one of the first premiums I bought. And other than that, we also got the French cruisers and the French battleships, and we got Atago as a premium. Not only that, we also got the Kamikaze. So if we move to the end of 2019, the Christmas campaign, if you missed out on that one, you missed out on one of the best ships in the game, which is the Jean-Bart. And it hasn't really ever come back in its original form. And some people have it, some people don't. And if you have it, you should be happy, because it is a really good ship. And back when it came out, it was totally overpowered. So another change that was made in that update that still sticks with the game to this day was that every tier 7 cruiser would get a heal. Up until then, the only tier 7 cruiser that had a heal was the Atago. But that meant that there weren't many cruisers in tier 7 battles. Every time I loaded in a cruiser, I was always the only cruiser player for like almost a year. No one else wanted to play them because they just got nuked all the time, I assume. I don't know. But repair parties were added to all tier 7 cruisers except for Charles Martel. It missed out, and it did help. It also made the cruisers like a little bit more fun, because you could be more aggressive in them. The last update of 2019 also introduced the Yamato test event, where you could play Yamato for tokens you would earn in the game. And it was interesting, but also a little bit of a mess. Alright, moving on to February 2020, and in this update we got the UK cruisers, the Emerald, Leander, Fiji, and the Edinburgh. So they haven't been in the game until that point, almost a year, right? It was also time for the first Azure Lane wave, and in that wave was Azure Lane Atago. Now, if you have this commander, you are lucky, because she will never come back to the game ever again due to contractual whatever reasons. So she's really powerful. She can up your fire chance by crazy amounts. So she's really good on ships like Mogami, Atago, Suzuya, and Yoshino, of course. But like I said, if you don't have her, you will never be able to get her again, at least not in her current form. The March update of 2020 gave us the Russian cruisers, including the Kutuzov and the Chapayev, although Chapayev wasn't available until the following update. But Kutuzov had a lot of impact on the game, and so did Chapayev in the following update, because they were just so powerful, and no one was really used to fire spamming cruisers until that point. And well, there was a lot of complaining from Battleship players in that month and the following month, pretty much ever since. So yeah, Chapayev at tier 7, Shores, Budyonny, Kyo, Svetlana, Bogatyr, and Novik. The next update gave us photo mode in the port, so where you click the right stick and the HUD goes away. Up until then that was not possible, so that's another improvement, something I use quite a bit, especially as a CC. And it was also the update that marked the 1-year anniversary of the game. So the May update of 2020 was one of the bigger and most important updates in Legends history, because that's where we were introduced to the Bureau and of course the legendary ships. And although the Bureau was a good idea at the time, I think it's time to retire that, at least for now, because I don't see any purpose in it at all. All it does is just delay people actually getting to play ships. As a part of the legendary introduction, we also got a few new bigger maps that would make legendary play a little bit more comfortable, and they're still some of my favorite maps, these ones here. And the campaign ship was also quite an important ship. If you don't have that, it was the VICI, and up until then there were Torp destroyers in the game, but VICI had the Torp reload boost, and it was just there's a lot of battleship crying over that ship as well. Another change that was introduced in this update was to give almost every cruiser in the game 10% faster rudder, at least the tier 7 cruisers, because they would be matched with legendary ships. And you can see how Mogami, Baltimore, Edinburgh, Chapayev, Kutuzov, Eugen, Hipper, Mattel, they all got 10% better rudder, except for Atago. Atago got cheated on this one. It got a better, repair party and a different kind of torpedoes that I never use. I don't know anyone who uses them. So Atago was ripped off. So the June update of 2020 gave us one of the most powerful ships in the game, and it's still one of the absolute most powerful cruisers at tier 7. And it is of course the Wichita, because this thing here is just nuts. Like, it's so hard to citadel, it's so hard to deal with, and it has a radar, and it has fast firing guns, and it can set lots of fires, good AP. It's still one of the absolute best cruisers in the game. This update also introduced cross-platform voice chat, and it also removed the 25% XP bonus for premium ships, which was a very good thing, because up until then, when you were playing premium ships, you would get an additional 25% XP bonus, and that's why it was easier to do like a 5,000 XP game, base XP that is. That was removed, so now 4,000 is more, like the very high end. This update also gave us a few Warhammer premium ships that I don't really think anyone actually plays. And it also unlocked patrons for the Bureau project, meaning that you could put commanders on the project to speed it up, just like you can do these days. But back then, that was a new feature. The next update gave us the spotter consumable for all battleships, where you can switch between the two different kind of planes. And on top of that, we also got the French destroyers here. A few new maps was made available as well. Sea of Fortune, one of them, and also Sleeping Giant. And the last one that, is still a pretty good map is the Tears of the Desert. And the campaign ship back then was the Odin, a ship that still holds up pretty well to this day, and of course access to Cleveland. The next update gave us improved legendary skills, and it's something that the players asked for a long time, and it's still one of the best additions that was made to the game, but I think it's about time that this was reevaluated once more. But back then it was certainly a very nice addition. Also, camouflage management. This, I'm still so surprised that Wargaming chose not to monetize the camouflages in the game. So this is where you were allowed to take a camouflage and make it permanent and pop it on a ship. You couldn't do that up until then. It was all, like temporary camouflages or premium camouflages. So again, very surprised that this wasn't monetized, but kudos to Wargaming for not doing that. Another quality of life improvement made in that update was the ability to convert boosters in batches, because up until then you can only do it one booster at a time, and obviously that would take ages, absolute ages, if you wanted to convert, like, say 300 boosters into 100 of a better kind of boosters. it was a manual job of holding the button like 300 times then, yeah. So definitely one of the best improvements that was made. And other than that, we also got the Italian cruisers here, and obviously Roma was the campaign ship, and we also got the Transformers collaboration, and of course the Italian commanders. The main highlights of the following update was the introduction of the rolling smoke or exhaust smoke for the Italian cruisers, which made them a lot more usable, and then also a general buff for the Soviet destroyers, and this is also one of the most important buffs in the history of the game because it made especially Tashkent a lot more fun to play. The November 2020 update gave us an alternative Japanese destroyer branch, and of course the secondary armament improvement with the enhanced secondary targeting. Also 2 new bureau projects, Shimakaze and Khabarovsk, and Khabarovsk I went all in researching. We also got like a pretty disappointing campaign ship here, but Azure Lane returned with another 5 commanders here who actually were very interesting. I'd say none of them are or were as important as the first batch, but they're always good to have commanders in this game to diversify their playstyles. That brings us to the Christmas update for 2020, where you could rent legendary ships. Probably one of the worst ideas ever in the history of Legends, but you were able to do it, and it meant awful gameplay. One of the other things that was looked at was the fire metagame and wargaming trying to limit fires on battleships. We also got the armor viewer, so yes, up until then it was impossible to see your armor layout, which is like a major oversight, but luckily it was fixed in this update here, right? And something that really should have been in the game from day one, but whatever. The campaign prize was the Alabama, and that is the end of World of Warships Legends from 2019 to 2020. So we'll do the 2021 and 2022 in another video. So hope you enjoyed it, and thinking back to how the game was in the early days with me, it's always interesting, I think. So hope you enjoyed it. See you out there.